What is up? What's good? What's going on? How you doing? How you been? I hope you're doing well. I'm doing pretty good myself. Life is full of ups and downs. Try to make the best out of it. So, what is going on? It is 5:08 a.m. Sunday morning. My sleep schedule is so jacked up. I woke up at midnight. I've been up ever since midnight. I have to drive to Fort Worth today in my personal vehicle to get to orientation. I start Landstar orientation tomorrow, Monday morning. I plan on leaving my house today in about 6 hours at about 11 a.m. and making it down to the hotel in Fort Worth by about 3 o'clock in the afternoon so I can get settled in, relax, and get to bed early so I get plenty of sleep before orientation. I want to be wide awake with plenty of rest before orientation. Uh, it's you don't absorb very much knowledge whenever you are fatigued. So I'm trying to get my sleep schedule flipped so that I can be awake for orientation. But anyway, Stephanie, the orientation contact that I have, I asked her if I have access to the load board, and she told me no. But as I was filling out paperwork, some of the instructions I had for some of my paperwork told me to go to Landstar's website and create my account. So I did that. Turns out I do have access to the load board. So let's look at the load board. As you can see over here, I've got this blurred out. This area right here is blurred out. That's where the broker phone numbers are at. So all the personal information should be blurred out on the board. So this is a search of 50 miles around Oklahoma City. I live in Oklahoma City. This is a search of loads within 50 miles of Oklahoma City. No restrictions. No minimum rate per mile. No minimum line haul revenue. For anybody who watches my load board videos, you know that I typically only search for loads over like $2,000. If it pays less than $2,000, it's not worth my time. Because when I'm only getting 65% of the load, I'm only getting $1,300 of a $2,000 load. So it's not worth my damn time to mess with anything less than 2 grand. 2 grand, because even if it only takes a single day, I try to make $1,000 a day. So a $2,000 load, I'm going to be making about $1,300 on that. So that's over my my $1,000 a day. But anyway, this is just basically showing all van loads that are not team loads. These are solo driver van loads. All of these loads should be loads that I can pull. And this is just within 50 miles of Oklahoma City. So this is basically Oklahoma City. These are all loads in Oklahoma City. And there's a lot of decent loads. Like, none of these are very good. I won't say none of them are very good. I mean, we got this load right here that's going from Oklahoma City to Tampa, Florida, but it's 40,000 pounds of hazmat, and it's going to Tampa, Florida. Is $3.45 a mile enough of a premium to go to Florida? Not really. Florida should really pay over $4 a mile. I really prefer $5 a mile to go into Florida. So, I don't know. It would depend on what kind of backhaul I can get out of here. And I do know that I can get a load out of Savannah, Georgia, which is about 250 miles. It'll be about a 250 mile deadhead from Tampa to Savannah, Georgia. But there are a bunch of loads on Landstar's load board going from Savannah, Georgia to Joplin, Missouri. For anybody who doesn't know where Joplin is in relation to Oklahoma City, Joplin, Missouri is just across the Oklahoma border. It's like right on the border of Oklahoma and Missouri. It's 200 miles from Oklahoma City. So it's pretty close to Oklahoma City. But there are loads going from Savannah to Joplin that pay $3,200 for 984 miles, if I remember correctly. And then 13 miles from Joplin in Baxter, Kansas, just across the border into Kansas, there are loads going from there to Orlando, Florida that pay $4,000. About the same rate per mile as this load going out of Oklahoma City to Tampa. So I could leave Oklahoma City, go to Tampa, deadhead up to Savannah, go to Joplin, go from Joplin down to Orlando, and then Orlando back up to Savannah. And I could just keep running that little route right there. And if I can, stack the loads back to back without too much downtime in between them, then I can run about $7,500 a week gross to the truck running those loads. I can do about $7,500 a week is what I calculated, just running basically back and forth between Joplin, Missouri, and Orlando, Florida, just back and forth. And just a heads up, now I've only been looking at the load board here on the weekend. I didn't even know I had access to it until Saturday afternoon. So for anybody who doesn't pay attention to my load board videos or hasn't watched any of them, something I talk about all the time is the brokers only typically work 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. So there's a very short window during the week that brokers are listing loads. So whenever you're looking at the load board at night or on the weekend, you're looking at the scraps, the leftovers, the trash, the crap. You're looking at the loads that nobody wanted. So that's what I'm looking at right now. And I'm able to string together like $7,000+ weeks on the garbage that's on Landstar's load board. I'm really curious to see how good the loads are that are listed during the day. The ones that they say, you have to call in within 30 seconds to get them. I'm really curious to see how good those loads are. Because the stuff I'm looking at right now, like this going to Tampa, Florida, Oklahoma City to Tampa, if I saw this on USA Truck's load board, I would probably jump all over this load. Except with it being hazmat. Like, if it was a hazmat load, I'd be like, I don't know about that. So if we completely forget that this is a hazmat load, if this were listed on USA Truck's load board, I would snag this up in a heartbeat. I'd be like, hell yeah, let's do it. Picks up right here in Oklahoma City. I don't have to drive 200 or 300 miles like I normally do. Normally I drive all the way up to Spring Hill, Kansas, which is Kansas City. It's about 340 miles from my house. That's how far I normally deadhead to leave my house to pick up a load. And then whenever I'm coming back home, I normally have to deadhead, a couple hundred miles to my house. So there was a lot of deadheading that I did at USA Truck because they don't have freight all over the place. They just have a couple of hubs where they have decent amount of freight at. But Landstar, man, they've got freight everywhere and decent freight. Something I've noticed looking at Landstar's load board is that you can find, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 loads anywhere in the country. On USA Truck's load board, $7,000 loads, there's only a couple places you can find those. And you can't find them very often. Like the Los Angeles area. That's one of the places you can find $7,000 loads. one of the last loads that I hauled was a load going from Sheboygan Falls, Wisconsin down to Irvine, California. That was, how much was that? It was 6,300 plus fuel surcharge, I believe. Or was it 6,300 with fuel surcharge? I think it was 63. Let me pause this for a second and look. All right, it was 63.25 plus $900 in fuel surcharge. So it was like 72, a little over $7,200 total is what the load paid. Those are not very common loads on USA Trucks load board. But I landed that load. Those loads are few and far between on USA Trucks load board. Let me figure up what that paid per mile real quick. That was paid, what did I say? $7,300, 72 something. We'll go with it was 63.25 plus 900. We'll go with we'll do 7,200. $7,200 divided, or $7,200 divided by how many miles was that? It was 2,200 miles. $3.27 a mile is the total of what that thing was paying. $3.27 a mile, roughly. Maybe a little bit more than that. So $3.27 a mile on big mileage runs. That's like really, really good pay at USA Truck. And we're getting like $3.45 a mile on this load going to Tampa. This one should be paying more than this, I think, my opinion, because it's going to Tampa, Florida, which is a really bad market. You're going to have to deadhead 200 or 300 miles to go find a load. There's a lot of loads going to Florida out of Oklahoma City. This is the same broker. This load going from Oklahoma City to Miami and the load going from Oklahoma City to Tampa, this one up here that we were looking at, that's listed by the same broker or the same brokerage, not the exact same broker. It has a different phone number, but it's the same brokerage. So it's probably a different broker with the same brokerage. But Miami is way, way, way down in South Florida. Tampa is in Central Florida. So not only is this load paying more, but it's a couple hundred miles shorter. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I mean, yeah, this one is not hazmat and this one is hazmat, but damn, that's some cheap crap to go that far down into Miami for $2.80 a mile. Oklahoma City to Decatur, Georgia. There are a whole bunch of these loads going from Oklahoma City to Decatur, Georgia. Decatur, Georgia is basically Atlanta. And like I said, there's a whole bunch of loads going from Savannah, Georgia to Joplin. So Atlanta to Savannah, I can't remember how far that is. It's 100 miles, maybe 150 miles. So I could go from Oklahoma City to Atlanta. and then Savannah up to Joplin. I mean, there's a lot of options on Landstar's load board. There's so many different places I can go. I've looked at this Farmington, New Mexico load right here, and Farmington, New Mexico is out in the middle of nowhere. It is like you're going to be driving on a highway up towards southern Colorado out in the middle of nowhere for this load. Oklahoma City to Monette, Missouri. Now, this is something that I might actually be interested in because I don't really like hauling loads this cheap. Usually, the only time I'll do something like this is if I find a good load that's 200 or 300 miles away. Then I will go and specifically search for a load to get me there so I can get paid to drive there instead of just deadheading. So this is going to Monette, Missouri. Did I spell that correctly? Well, it figured out what I was talking about. I'm not sure I would bother with this because this is out of the way. Looks like Monette is kind of out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it's not too terribly far from Joplin, but I'd be driving past Joplin, and then I'd have to backtrack to Joplin. This is just some sketch-ass 2-lane bidirectional highway to get there. Really tiny town in Missouri. I don't even know if I would take that route to go there. The map like froze up on me. Yeah, we're down into the cheap crap that I probably wouldn't bother with. Tuttle, Oklahoma to Palestine, Texas. Maybe I might drive that down to Palestine. Because Palestine sometimes has some decent loads coming out of there. On USA Trucks load board, they even had loads coming out of the Palestine area. I think one of the last loads I hauled was out of Palestine. Oklahoma City to El Paso. That is some really cheap crap. $1.93 a mile. So they're basically going to pay you $1 a mile because you only get 65% of that. So $1.93 is 1.93 times 0.65. $1.25 a mile. And that amount includes fuel surcharge. You get 100% of the fuel surcharge, so you're going to make a little bit more than $1.25 a mile. Um, but I don't know exactly how much of that is fuel surcharge. $50 of it might be fuel surcharge. $100 of it might be fuel surcharge. I don't know. But you're making a total of about $1.25 a mile. You know who makes $1.25 a mile? These drivers at these shitty lease companies like Stevens Transport, CR England, CRST, Western Express, places like that. Those flat rate leases that pay $1.05 a mile plus fuel surcharge. That's how much they make per mile. Is like $1.25, $1.30 a mile. It's really hard to make any money at those rates. So, yeah, I don't haul. Like my cutoff that I don't like hauling under is around 250 a mile. 2.5 times 0.65. That's $1.62 a mile. So if I'm hauling loads at $2.50 a mile, what I'm making after the percentage cuts is around $1.62, maybe $1.70, somewhere in that area, depending on how much of that is fuel surcharge. So $1.70 is really close to the minimum I like to operate at. And I don't want to turn this into like, a business revenue, expenses, and operating cost video. I'll just sit here rambling for an hour or two talking about why it's stupid to haul cheap freight as an owner-operator. But, yeah. So, yeah, there's a whole bunch of loads here in Oklahoma City. Let me pause this and we'll broaden the search parameters. All right, so I increased the search range from 50 miles around Oklahoma City to 350 miles around Oklahoma City. So this is going to go all the way to Kansas City, Dallas, Fort Worth, Western Arkansas. It'll pick up Amarillo, Texas. It'll go through central Kansas. It may go all the way out to Springfield, Missouri. But I told it to only show loads over $3 per mile and over $3,000. And the maximum loads that you can get to show up are 500. And as you can see, it's hit the load max. So within 350 miles of Oklahoma City, there are over 500 loads over $3,000 and over $3.50 a mile. Lots and lots and lots and lots of loads. So Joplin, Missouri is a pretty big hub on Landstar's load board. I'm seeing a lot of the decent paying loads coming out of Joplin, Missouri. So let's see what we got here. This one right here has me considering going to New York. I don't know what VLYSTRM New York is. Let me pause this. Yeah, Valley Stream New York is not happening. So Valley Stream New York is, you have to drive through New York City to get to Valley Stream. Valley Stream is on the peninsula that runs out here in New York City. So Valley Stream New York is New York City. It looks like it's basically the boroughs. It's right next to the JFK International Airport. So this is New York City. It's over by Queens. Right here's Brooklyn. that's not happening. Let's go back over here to the loads. So yeah, that's the reason that almost $6 a mile load is still sitting there. Like I said, we're looking at the trash. We're looking at the crap. We're looking at the loads that nobody else would bother with. Nobody else is going to mess with. I'm not going to drive into New York City for a load. Screw that crap. New York City is a really old city. I've never been to New York City. I've seen videos, I've heard about it, and I've been near New York City, and I know what it's like being over in that old part of the country. They have old infrastructure, outdated infrastructure. The roads are really tiny. The docks and stuff aren't built for trucks this size. They were built 50, 60 years ago. Whenever, trucks were only hauling 28, 30-foot trailers. So, yeah, it's I don't want to get into these old cities that aren't designed for 70 plus foot vehicles. Like there's some parts of like St. Louis, Missouri. I've been in old parts of St. Louis. I've been in old parts of Long Beach. Now this was 15 years ago. So maybe they tore down the docks at Long Beach and rebuilt them. But I picked up loads out of Long Beach, California from old brick docks that were built for much smaller trucks. And oh my God, it was tight to get into those places. You're talking about 100-plus-year-old buildings down there on Long Beach. So it's not just New York City that has old infrastructure and stuff. There are certain places all around the country I don't like to go to because they're not designed for vehicles this big. And those are places where you get into accidents. And you get into accidents, you can ruin your driving record. So McAlester, Oklahoma, 8,500 pounds of hazmat that's going all the way up to Washington. I don't know what Washington is like on Landstar's load board. On USA Trucks load board, it's not a good place to be. So Dallas, Texas to Lebanon, Oregon, $7,100 for a couple thousand miles. I really like hauling loads that are like $4+ a mile. I love these like $5, $6 a mile loads, but every time I see one of these $5 or $6 a mile loads on Landstar's load board, they're going to some really bad places like New York City and shit like that. $4 to $6 a mile loads or $4+ a mile loads on USA Trucks load board. I'd run into those all the time. Like a 500-mile load that's, paying $3,000. I hauled several of those at USA Truck. That's something you don't see very much of on Landstar's load board are short loads, like 500 or 600 miles, that are paying $5 or $6 a mile. But again, I'm just looking at the crap left over on the weekend. I haven't yet had an opportunity to look at the load board during the day. A lot of these loads going out of Edwardsville, Kansas to Kent, Washington. 35,000 pounds. I can't remember where either one of those locations are at. All right, so Edwardsville is Kansas City. And Kent, Washington is Seattle. So Kent is just at the southern edge of Seattle. This looks like it would be a pretty damn nice drive if the weight of the load isn't that bad. What was the weight of the load? These are all 35,000 pounds. I mean, that's not terrible, but this is a lot of mountain driving. That is a lot of mountain driving. But one of the things that I like about it is that, yeah, it may be a lot of mountain driving, but it's a lot of driving out in the middle of nowhere. And I love driving out in the middle of nowhere. Like, one of my favorite stretches of road is I-80 across northern Nevada right here, because it is just desolate. There is nothing out here. And also I-10, like down here, I-10 running across basically I-10 all the way from California to San Antonio almost is nothing. Yeah, you drive through El Paso and Las Cruces and Tucson and Phoenix. There's a couple of cities and towns that you drive through, but for the most part, I-10 is just desolate, just out in the middle of nowhere. I love that. And this right here, this drive, even though it's a lot of mountains and crap to deal with, it's, for the most part, a lot of nothingness. It's a lot of out in the middle of nowhere. So I'm mildly interested in those loads, and it looks like they have a lot of them. And it's direct shipper freight. Joplin, Missouri to Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. I've been there. It's only 30,000 pounds. It's paying almost $6 a mile. That is a pretty damn good load. Let's take a look at loads coming out of Pennsylvania to see what it's like. See how bad the Northeast is on Landstar's load board. Let me pause this. All right, so I just searched for loads that are within 150 miles of Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. And they actually have, and I left the parameters the same. Only show me loads over $3 a mile and over $3,000. And 122 loads came up. So Patterson, New Jersey to Albany, Oregon. I don't know where Patterson, New Jersey is. Okay, for anybody who hasn't been to New Jersey, North Jersey is New York City. South Jersey is like Hillbillyville. It's like redneck central out there. It's farmland. But you still have to like go through it's what, oh shit. It's not Pittsburgh. Philadelphia. I think Pittsburgh is on the west side and Philadelphia is on the east side. Whichever one it is, if I've got them backwards. I think it's Philadelphia that you have to drive through to get into Jersey. Or, I mean, you could go through like Baltimore, but I think, maybe. I mean, I'm not a big fan of going to Jersey, but for this kind of money, maybe. I would have to look and see. Paterson, New Jersey. Let's see. Paterson. Let's see if it's in Hillbillyville or if it's in the city. It looks like it's in the city. Yeah. Yeah, Paterson, New Jersey is basically New York City. I mean, it's on the edge of New York City, so it might not be too terribly bad. So Wilkes Barre is right over here. So you can dip back down onto the 80 and just take the 80 straight over to Paterson. I've never been that close to New York City. Maybe. I don't know, maybe. But a coast to coast run with a hazmat load, that could be a pain in the ass because like you have to do you have to do a lot of route planning with hazmat loads. And with this particular hazmat load, it was going to, was it Washington? No, it was going to Albany, Oregon. So Albany, Oregon, are you going to drive? I think you might take the 80. You probably take the 80 all the way there. I'm not sure. So Albany is just south of Portland. So yeah, you'd take the 80 coast to coast. You're driving through some major metropolitan areas with a hazmat load. So if there are any tunnels or anything, you're going to have to bypass all of that crap. Yeah, I don't know if I would be wanting to mess with that coast to coast hazmat load. If it wasn't hazmat, then I might bother with going over into New York City to pick that load up. Let's see what else we got. Ooh, here's Topton, Pennsylvania to Livonia, Michigan. I don't know where in the hell either one of those places are at, but it's paying almost $5 a mile. It is not hazmat. It is heavy. It's really heavy. But it could get you out of the deep Northeast and get you into a better market. It's 3 stops, though. Let's look at the load details. All right. This is a sketchy load. So, they got you picking up in Topton, Pennsylvania. Then you're going to South Bend, Indiana. And then Bolingbrook, Illinois. You're unloading twice on this load. Then you're picking up a new load. And then you're taking that to Livonia, Michigan. And this jackass is only paying you for one single stop. There is almost no accessorial pay on this. Out of all the revenue that you're getting, you're only getting $410 in fuel surcharge and stops, even though you're doing 3 extra stops on this load. They're only paying you for one stop off. I can't remember what Landstar pays for stops, but it's something like $50 the first stop, $75 the second, and then like $100 for every stop after that or something. I can't remember the details. Let's go find one of these 17 stop loads and see if they've got it broken out. All right, so most of them I looked at did not have the stops broken down. This is one that does have them. It's paying out 6 stops at $50 per stop. So apparently they don't have a flat rate that you're supposed to be paid for stops at Landstar. But yeah, this is a multi-stop load, and they're paying $60 or $50 per stop. So that other load's only paying $75, and it's got like 3 or 4 extra stops on it. Is this the one? Yeah, this is the one right here. It has 3 extra stops on it. Should be paying like $150 in stop pay, but it's not. It's paying $75 in stop pay. And it's because it's 2 loads, and it's a pickup and a delivery, and with 1 extra stop right there, and then another pickup and another delivery. That's the mindset of these brokers. So they're brokering you 2 loads, and one of them's a multi-stop load. But yeah, like I'm gonna have to keep an eye on like some of these shady ass brokers. While I'm learning the ropes at Landstar, I'll have to, whenever I find a load I'm interested in, I'll have to look at the other loads that broker has listed and see if there's any shady shit they're doing on loads. Just to see what kind of asshats these guys are. So let me pause this for a second. All right, we're back on the load board. All right, let's get down past all these crappy 6 stop loads and all the rest of this crap, and let's find some loads that actually get you the hell out of the Northeast without having to go over into Jersey to pick it up. Fort Lauderdale, that's way south in Florida, I think. Ooh, Allentown, Pennsylvania to Shreveport, Louisiana. $3.10 a mile. It's not hazmat. That's decent to get you the hell out of the Northeast. Let's change this over to rate per mile. New Berlin, Pennsylvania to Orange Park, Florida. This might be a decent load. 3 days. I don't like that. It might be the weekend. April 9th through the 12th. Yeah, the 9th is a Friday, the 12th is a Monday. So that's the reason it has 3 days on it. So you pick it up in New Berlin, Pennsylvania, which is only a 65-mile deadhead. And it's going to Orange Park, Florida. Where is Orange Park? I'm guessing that it's northern Florida based on the mileage. It is. It's Jacksonville. That's a pretty damn good load right there. So that's a solid load. It's light, it's not hazmat, and it's basically going to Jacksonville, Florida, North Florida. So you'll be driving the 95 down the coast. So it looks like going into the Northeast, into the Pennsylvania area, isn't terrible on Landstar's load board. It's not a terrible place to be on Landstar's load board. Because there are some decent paying loads coming out of there. On USA Truck Load Board, you search for loads coming out of the Northeast. Yeah, there are some decent paying loads up there, but they're loads that are going like circles in the Northeast. You know, to find a load that's actually leaving the Northeast, that's going from Pennsylvania to somewhere other than New York or Massachusetts or New Jersey, because you can find loads in like Pennsylvania going further into the Northeast, that are paying $3.50 a mile or somewhere in that area. So there are some decent paying loads on USA Trucks Load Board, but they're all just going circles in the Northeast. A load actually leaving the Northeast, going from Pennsylvania to Ohio or to Georgia or anywhere out of the Northeast, those generally pay $2 a mile on USA Trucks Load Board. It's just really cheap crap. And there's a bunch of $3 plus mile loads here on Landstar's load board coming out. And again, this is the crap. These are the crap loads. The leftovers that nobody wanted. There's another Allentown, Pennsylvania to Jacksonville, Florida, paying $3.40 a mile. It's a lot heavier. But there are some decent loads coming out of there. I'm trying to find that load I found a minute ago. It was New Berlin, right there it is, to Orange Park. That one's going to Jacksonville. There's a whole bunch of them going down into Florida from there. Wilmington to Kansas City. Damned hazmat. Blandon, Pennsylvania to Lakeland, Florida. I think I mentioned this earlier. I think Lakeland is the one that's down in between Orlando and Tampa, and Lake City is the one up north at the junction of I 10 and 75 and 10. Wow, this load board's amazing. Let me look for a. Let's just pick a place. Like, where would I want to go? Let's say that like pay was not an issue. I just wanted to go somewhere. Let's say that I want to go from Oklahoma City. My very first load. I want to go. Where do I want to go? I don't want to go anywhere. I guess that's a good thing as a truck driver. I don't have anywhere specific I want to go. Fargo, North Dakota. Fargo, North Dakota. So let's pause this. Go to the search. All right. So what I did is I just searched for loads going to Fargo, North Dakota. And these are only loads that are paying over $3 a mile and over $3,000. And what do we have here? Monticello or Monticello, Arkansas, going to Warren, Minnesota. It's 93 miles from Fargo. Jackson, Tennessee to Fargo, North Dakota. St. Joseph, Missouri. And Toledo, Ohio. So, several of these places are places I can easily get to. I don't know where exactly Monticello, Arkansas is at, but Arkansas and Oklahoma are adjacent states. Jackson, Tennessee. I don't know where exactly Jackson, Tennessee is at, but there's a load going directly to Fargo from there. Tennessee is not very far from Oklahoma. Memphis, Tennessee is like 400 miles away from Oklahoma, or Oklahoma City. So I can try to find a load from Oklahoma City to Memphis, Tennessee, or Jackson, Tennessee, and then go to Fargo. St. Joseph, Missouri. Missouri is another state that is adjacent to Oklahoma. And Toledo, Ohio would probably be an easy place to get to. So if I wanted to get to Fargo, it doesn't look like I can go. I might be able to go directly to Fargo if I deadheaded to Monticello or Monticello, Arkansas, or St. Joseph, Missouri. Let's look at. Let's see where Monticello, Arkansas is at. Out in the middle of no damn where. Yeah, that's way, way, way down in southeast Arkansas. Way south of Little Rock. That would be quite a ways out of my way. So now let's look for St. Joseph, Missouri, and see where that's at. So that's just north of Kansas City. That would be on my way to Fargo. So out of Oklahoma City, I could just try to find a load to Kansas City and then go from Kansas City to St. Joseph and then St. Joseph up to Fargo. See how easy that is? That's just a random location that I chose. And it's actually a pretty hard location to get to because Fargo is not a big freight hub. But that just goes to show you how much freight there is on Landstar's load board. You can pretty much get anywhere you want to go and still make some pretty decent money doing it. That's pretty awesome. That is like really awesome. Yeah, I'm quite excited about that. Let's do another search and then I should end the video because we've been going for a long time. All right, what do I want to search for? Let's clear Fargo, North Dakota. And really, I want to keep the limits at $3 and $3,000 because I really don't like hauling loads for less than that. I don't like doing one-day loads because I don't get paid while the trailer's getting loaded and unloaded. So the more stops I have on a load, then that's just more unpaid time that I have to work. So I really want loads that are going to be paying over $3,000 because those are loads that are longer loads. They don't have as many stops on them. It's something that I'm going to have for a couple of days. But you know, if somebody wants to pay me $3,000 to drive something 500 miles, then I'm all for that as well. I will do a one-day load for $3,000. So where do I want to search for loads? Let's do a very broad search. I don't know. Let's see. What is the Mid-Atlantic? Delaware, Maryland, New Jersey, DC, and England is... Yeah, let's just not do those two areas. Those are areas I don't really want to go to. So let's look for loads coming out of these areas. And in destination, let's pick the same. We're going to pick everything except the deep northeast. I don't want to go into the damn deep northeast. And we're going to keep it at $3 a mile, 3,000. Maximum number of stops, let's do 0. I don't want to do one of these fucking 20 stop loads. Direct shipper, I don't care. Minimum number of miles, maximum number of miles. I don't really care. You know, if you want to pay me $3,000 to go 1 mile, we'll do it. Got the team set to no. Got it set to van loads. I think I have all the options selected. So let's see what kind of awesome freight's out there in the country. And remember, these are the scraps on the weekend that nobody wanted. So let me pause this and we'll run this search. All right. So we shouldn't have the load board flooded with those loads going up into like New York and Massachusetts and the deep Northeast. There's a ton of loads going up into those shitholes. So let's see what all we got. We got a load coming out of Alaska going to Florida. 5,000 miles. Holy crap. I guess I'll just fly up to Alaska, rent a truck, and it's only paying $3 a mile. And it's hazmat. 5,000 miles on a damn hazmat load. $3 a mile. I don't think you're paying enough, bro. That, oh my God. I want to look at the details of that load just to look at it. All right, it wasn't worth it. I was hoping they would have some comments in there explaining about the load, but no. The only thing it said in the comments was hazmat. So Westminster, California to Anchorage, Alaska. 3,400 miles. I don't know if I'm ever going to haul a load up to Alaska because you don't have a whole lot of options. Like, and if you have to deadhead out of Alaska, that's going to be a massive deadhead. I don't want to be stuck up in Alaska waiting on a load and be at the mercy of a broker. So, Patterson, California to Tampa, Florida. $97.83. I don't know where Patterson, California is at. One thing USA Truck started doing on their loads is listing the market next to the origin and destination, because like Patterson, California could be San Bernardino, it could be the Los Angeles area, it could be the San Francisco area. I don't know. A lot of these major cities like Chicago and Dallas and stuff, they have tons of little bitty towns within the city, and you know, you'll have these loads listed as coming out of somewhere like Patterson, California, and Patterson is probably right in the middle of a major city. Let's look it up. Patterson, California. Was it 2 T's? Yeah, 2 T's. So this is up by Tracy, Northern California. Patterson, California to Tampa, Florida. It's only 10,000 pounds and it's general freight. That's a decent load. They've got you scheduled 8 days on it though. 8 days. The 12th is a Monday. So you're going to get there a couple of days early and you're going to have to set over the weekend to deliver on a Monday. So you'll get to do a 34 before the delivery. There's another coast to coast, Torrance to Livonia, Georgia. But it's hazmat. Long Beach, California. Down on the ports. Going to Romulus, Michigan. General freight, 28,000 pounds. Not bad. There's a specific, I'm not going to call out the agent's like initials over here, but there's a specific agent that lists these loads like Sioux Falls to Sioux Falls and lists them at really low miles, and it comes out to really outrageous rates per mile. What this is it's like line haul dedicated bullshit, and you're actually running way more miles than what they're listing on there. It's like 2,500, 3,000 miles a week, and you're basically doing dedicated line haul shit. I don't know the details, but I've looked at the description of several of these loads, and I recognize this particular agent, and he's just a jackass listing these things. Like in the comments, it'll say how many actual miles it is, but he puts this make-believe number up here that causes the rate per mile to be really high so that his loads are at the top of the list. And I'm pretty sure that this $8,000 that he's putting them under, or she, I don't know if it's a guy or a girl, this $8,000 is also probably make-believe bullshit. So they're just putting in some make-believe numbers to get these loads up at the top of the list. Given that they're sitting here on the weekend and nobody's touching this bullshit, these are probably some really trash loads where you're doing, you're basically probably doing like, you're getting leased on, or you're running dedicated. You're basically becoming a company driver for a week or two for some shithole line haul company, and they're going to pay you a flat rate of like $2 a mile, and they're just going to dispatch you for a week or two. That's probably the bullshit you're going to have to deal with. So, yeah, I'm already starting to see agents that I don't like. But I will reserve judgment until I actually call on these loads and find out details. Fontana to Suffolk, Virginia. 13,000 pounds of general goods. Not a bad load at all. I mean, it's not great, but it's not bad. You know what? Let's increase the rate per mile on this. Just a second. All right. I thought about increasing it from $3 to $3.50 a mile, but there are a ton of loads on the load board that are over $3.50 a mile, so I bumped it up to $4 a mile. This is a really good load. Moreno Valley, California to Beatrice, Nebraska. That's fucking awesome. It's not hazmat, but it is heavy. I don't know where Moreno Valley is at. I can't remember where that's at in California. This is that same broker I was just talking about that lists these things at really low mileage. It's jackass. I wish there was a way to, like, have certain brokers not show up in your list. Like, look at this asshole just putting 1 mile on the load. Let's look at the details on this. All right, I had to read through the comments to make sure that, like, there's not a phone number or anything in there. Yeah, okay, so this is one of the longest comments I've seen on any load. So this is basically dedicated forced dispatch bullshit. And he doesn't say what you're going to make. You have no fucking idea what you're going to make on these loads. So let me read this. All miles are paid, loaded, and empty. So you get paid for all miles. No doubles endorsement required. So you're going to be pulling a 53-foot dry van. You're not going to be pulling doubles. Loads available daily. This freight is available any day of the week, regardless of the posted dates. Dedicated power-only hauling for Central Transport. Pulling their trailers between central terminals. Load weights will vary. You must be able to scale at least 41,000 pounds on your 53-foot dry van to pull these loads. Line haul rate is paid at 70%, plus fuel surcharge and toll surcharge. This is considered a forced dispatch system. We do not get to pick and choose our loads. We will go everywhere Central dispatches us. If you have additional questions, feel free to call us. This posted load fuel surcharge rate is based on the current fuel rate of the data posted and may not accurately reflect any changes since the date and timing of this post. Well, they don't even post what the fuel surcharge rate is on here, so that's just some copy pasta bullshit right there. Because they put in that it pays 70% of the line haul, but they didn't put in what it pays on the mileage on the fuel surcharge. There's not a fuel surcharge rate listed here anywhere. So this is you just basically becoming a Central Transport line haul driver, and you're going to be forced dispatched. So it's out of Charlotte, North Carolina. You're out of Charlotte, North Carolina. So you're over on the East Coast. They could send you to Florida. They could send you to New York City. I don't know like what the range is. I would want a list of all of the terminals they could send me to. Am I going to be going from Charlotte out to another terminal and then back to Charlotte? Am I just going to be doing out and backs from Charlotte? Or is Central just going to, they might send me over to Birmingham, Alabama, and then from there they might send me to Oklahoma City, and from there they might send me to Washington. Like, are they able to dispatch me all over the country, or is it within a certain radius of the Charlotte terminal? Like, what the hell is the deal? You'd have to call to find out those details. Let's go back to the list. All right. So this particular broker has a ton of these things listed. So there's Charlotte, North Carolina, Richmond, Virginia, Dayton, Ohio, Memphis, Tennessee. They have a whole bunch of them listed. So let's get down past this guy's listings. Long Beach, California to Tacoma, Washington. That is a pretty damn good load. 2 days, 1,100 miles for $6,500. Hell yeah. I'll take that money. I mean, if you're just going to throw money at me, I'll take my clothes off. Damn, that's a good load. Let's look at the details, see if there's any gotchas on that load. There is no additional information on the details of the load. 3,700 pounds of general goods going from Long Beach up to Tacoma, going up to Seattle. So you're just going to drive I-5 all the way up to Canada. That's a damn good load. My goodness. I'm going to have to, there are certain brokers I see are running some amazing loads. I might have to keep track of some of these brokers. Here's Long Beach to McAllen, Texas. It's going 400 more miles, paying $1 a mile less, and it's 35,000 pounds. He just priced it out to match this other guy. That's not the same lane, bro. So Long Beach to McAllen, Joplin, Missouri to Encinitas, California. Let's see where Encinitas, California is at. Looks like it's up San Francisco, maybe? Oh, no. That's down in San Diego. I've never been down near San Diego. Hmm. That wouldn't be bad. So Joplin, Missouri to Encinitas. So I could go over there, pretty good paying load, and get a really good paying load out of there. This second here, I'm gonna look at this Sparks, Nevada. The details on this one. Just says that it's a power only load pulling doubles. Um, and it's 2,500 miles. So it's a different, it's not that same asshole. It's a different broker than the asshole that posts the short loads, but he's doing it the exact same way that that other asshole does it. If they listed one of these in Oklahoma City, one of these line haul jobs out of Oklahoma City, I might jump on them. I'd have to figure out, like, if it's 2,500 miles a week, I would have to figure out like how much I'm actually being paid, because I think that all of these numbers that they're putting on these loads are just make believe bullshit. Compton, California to Seattle. Why would I haul that when I can haul that other one that's paying $1,000 more? And it only weighs 3,000 pounds instead of 30,000 pounds. This crap did not get covered. This picks up today. Well, I mean, I guess it's got all day today to get covered, but this load picks up today, April 4th, from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. And that is most likely not going to get covered. Almost $5 a mile load. Man, if that were on USA Trucks load board, phew. Well, I can't say for sure over on the West Coast, because there's not a lot of drivers with USA Trucks sitting over on the West Coast. But in their normal operating area, man, loads like this would disappear quickly. I'm just skimming down through here looking for low mileage loads. 800 miles, $5,100. LA to Marsing, Idaho. I don't know where that's at. Maybe it's Boise. But it's 27,000 pounds of hazmat. Baytown, I've been there. That's Houston. Houston to Denver. 12,000 pounds. St. Paul, Oregon to Billings, Montana. It's listed as an exempt load. This might be military. Let me look at this. I remember looking at her loads before. It is. I don't know why she lists all of her loads as exempt. But I went and looked at the details of the load. This one listed as exempt right here is another one of her loads. It's coming out of a different town. But I recognize the broker, and yeah, every one of her loads, and it is a her, are listed as exempt. Every one of these loads that you see exempt over here, that's her. And it doesn't say why they're exempt anywhere. It does say that there is parking available at the shipper and that they're easy on, easy off loads. They're really quick to load and unload. And she gives her cell phone number and email address to contact. Just a second, let me pause this. Sorry. I had some food stuck in my tooth that was bugging me. I think I got it out. Just trying to like get a rough idea of the locations where good loads are at, and they're kind of all over the country. There's a lot of these high dollar loads are coming out of California. Hmm. A lot of loads going into Denver. Reno, Nevada to Fort Collins, Colorado. Another Denver. Green Bay, Wisconsin to Duncan, Oklahoma. That right there is that is a corridor I might try to run with Landstar. is, straight up Minnesota, Wisconsin, and then back down to Oklahoma. This is a really good load, and I want to say it's a Dollar General in Duncan, Oklahoma. That's most likely what this is delivering to. This Green Bay, Wisconsin load is most likely delivering to a Dollar General. Let me check it out. Look at the details. Well, there's nothing, no additional information in the details, but this is a direct shipper load. So this is a load that we might have on a regular basis. So this is, a way for me to get to Oklahoma. All right, let's go back to the search and look for loads going to Green Bay, Wisconsin. Well, there we have it. Neely's Landing, Missouri, going to Beaver Dam, Wisconsin. Looks like that is listed on a regular basis. There's a whole bunch of them listed here. Neely's Landing, I can't remember where exactly that's at, but I might be able to find a load to get me to Neely's Landing, and then a load from there to Green Bay, and then Green Bay back to Oklahoma, and then just... there's so many options. Here's one from Tulsa to the Chicago area. Montgomeryville, Arkansas. No, this is Montgomeryville, Pennsylvania, I think. Lyons, Kansas. I don't know. There's a lot of options, but I'm starting to get tired, so I'm going to try to get a couple-hour nap before I have to drive to Fort Worth. So this is my very first, skimming around the load board. This is pretty awesome. I'm really liking it. There's a lot of freight on Landstar's load board. So anyway, thanks for watching. Have a good one. Bye.